study it again. We need to do an environmental study. So the entire energy policy of the United States of America is right now being held hostage and harassed by a bunch of desert turtles.
But that's what makes this country great. Well, folks, do you ever have trouble sleeping? Do you ever have this problem where you just can't shut your brain down at the end of the night? And you're
Not
just
me,
thinking,
but that's okay.
Well, a lot of people do. I certainly have this issue where at the end of the night, I'm already planning my next day. I'm trying to reason through everything that happened. And the next thing I know, it's 2, 3, 4 in the morning and I can't fall asleep. So scientists have actually been researching this for some time. And in a recent study where they took 12 insomniacs and 12 normal people, here's what they showed. Very, very interesting. They put water-cooled caps on the heads of the insomniacs to cool their brains down. Why? Because they found that restless sleepers have higher than normal brain activity in the front cortex, which is the region of the brain that's responsible for planning and reasoning while they're trying to doze off. And many of us do this, right? And as a result of that, the heightened activity raises the brain's temperature just as the body is starting to fall asleep. And that's what keeps you awake at night. So they're actually testing this theory by making the insomniacs who suffer from this wear water-cooled hats. And they're finding actually that that is successful. They're sleeping about as well as the normal sleepers. Not only that, but the chillier the water, the colder the water, the better those with insomnia slept. So it all has to do with how hot-headed, hot-brained you are at the end of the night.
So are you trying to tell me that by 10 o'clock my head is totally cold? That's why I can go to sleep?
Well, maybe. I guess that's what I'm saying. But if
you mean
suffer,
I have no activity in my brain?
No. I think what it is there are some people who just shut it down better than others. And those that don't shut it down well at night and keep thinking and have trouble turning their brain off at night, there's a reason why they don't fall asleep, and that's because their brain is overheating from all that overthinking.
You understand a lot of our viewers are going to be doing that tonight.
That's right. Put a wet, cold towel on your head, folks, and you might be able to sleep a little better.
Try it. Here's something that everybody has been trying lately, which is, Groupon.
Oh, yeah.
Social networks and all of that. These guys are offering locally discounts.
It's brilliant.
As much as 50%.
And they're doing it because as you're browsing for certain songs or certain products, they're telling you locally where you can find it on sale. It's brilliant.
But there is a problem with that. They always give you a time frame, be it 30 days or 3 months or 6 months. You must consume that particular product, and you're paying up front for it. Money that you pay, they keep as much. The Groupon keeps as much as 35 to 50%, and the rest of the money, they send it to the vendor. Now, for a vendor, a $40 steak, he sold it through Groupon, $20, and he may end up with $10. But he gets new customers. Now, folks, what is happening is many of you can't really make use of it. As many as 1 in 6. But in some places, as many as half of them can't get to it. So what happens? That half the money comes and stays with the vendor, and somehow it sort of subsidizes the rest of it. They make a little bit of money. Many people say, that's not right.
Well, it's true.
It's my money.
It's true, because what happens is at the time you get excited and you fork over the credit card thinking, oh yeah, I'll do this next week. But next week other things happen and you never get to it. Or worse, sometimes you get social pressure. All your friends are doing it, so you end up doing it. But you then never get back together as friends to ever do that activity.
That's so true.
It's like those gift cards. So many times we get them and we never use them.
Many lawsuits have been installed against Groupon and these social companies because these litigants are contesting that these are gift cards. And a federal law is a gift card is valid for 5 years. You can't just tell me that I need to come 30 days or 3 months or 6 months. So imagine what a huge change of model this is going to be. And these companies are being treated as if they're $100 billion companies. what's going to happen to them?
I think that Groupon will win. That's what I think will happen, because I think this idea of a real-time delivery of deals with a very short expiration, but an outrageous deal, which is what many of these things are, that's the whole premise why this model works in the first place. I think it's going to be a tough argument. And maybe you can make the argument, but I think it's a tough one to make that this is the same or should be treated the same as the gift cards you buy in the stores. Maybe this will lower the value of some of these new businesses. Groupon, for example, is valued at like some absurd amount. But the reality is they have caught on to an idea, this idea of finding people who are interested in buying something, banding them together and offering them a deal. So I think you can make the argument this is a new kind of business model and approach and shouldn't be treated like the gift cards of old.
All I am saying is those of you who deal in the stock market need to understand something so simple.
Can bring down
huge companies. I mean, I am sure the Facebook and the other models that are considered the heavyweights, they were also thinking of going to the same model of Groupon and others. And let's face it, if the Supreme Court comes up and says this one goes as a gift card, so goes their model of business.
Yeah, plus, it's like anything else. It's a limited time sale. And the bigger the sale, the shorter the amount of time you have to use it. I really don't see the problem. Folks, one of our favorite topics here on Darshan recently is talking about what's happening in India, especially how it's going to progress beyond its service sector into the manufacturing sector, because there's many articles out now that suggest India's future lies not in its ability to remain the IT hub or the service hub, but that in order to sustain its young population, it really needs to develop manufacturing, which is something India really has not focused on, and in part because right next door to India is China, who excels on the manufacturing front. So we've carved out our own niches. China is very much on the manufacturing side. India's been on the service side. It's worked well in harmony. But now India is starting to look at manufacturing, and there's two great examples of this trend starting out in India. One is Dell. Dell has created one of the largest manufacturing centers in India. Why? It's done this for two reasons. One, because obviously Dell's interested in promoting its products overseas, and India is a good place to start. But there's a second reason. The second reason is because India's own population is starting to demand computers. You have almost 1 billion people. In fact, you have more than 1 billion people now in India, many of whom are middle-income earners who need that desktop or that laptop in their houses. In fact, some families can afford more than one now. So Dell not only wants to use this as a distribution center for other countries in Asia, but it has a pretty rich market within India. So it makes sense for them to open up a manufacturing plant in India. And as a result, Dell's annual revenue in India is closing in on $2 billion. There's really only a few logistical headaches left. One of them is India, because it doesn't have a strong